What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out and supporting this episode of Raised a Geek. This week, we looked back into a cult favorite for some and watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. With a couple of first-time viewers here, I'm dying to know what they thought, so let's find out. I'm Chris, and this week I'm here with Don and Tony. How we doing, guys? Or I guess Mike Myers and Tony.
I'm not in this movie. It's too hot.
Uh,
That's true. There was no Mike Myers in this movie, so it still works adjacent.
technically,
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll
you want
see.
to get into
Yeah,
the meta of it, but yeah.
How we doing,
I'm
guys?
good. I'm good. Everything is good. Chris and Tony, my two friends, everything is okay. Ready to talk some spooky stuff with you guys. We
Finally
always,
getting there.
yeah, we always try to do at least one a year. Sometimes we've done multiple in a year, but this year we're getting our one in during the season of the witch.
We've been trying
Um,
to do this one for a while.
yeah, I realized like after finding this movie because it's streaming on Peacock, I don't own it on Blu-ray like some people. Um,
I
uh,
heard condensation in there. Not
I found,
condensation,
I
Jesus
found,
Christ.
I found this movie on Peacock, and then I went to
Condescension.
Condensation, yeah. That's what I
I'm
was going for, not condensation. I got air conditioners on the brain.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yes,
I found it on Peacock, and I went to my profile, which is under your name because I'm cheap and I use your Peacock account, to watch
you're not the
wrestling.
only one on there.
Yeah. And I pressed play, and it was like halfway through, and I was like, "What? What is this? I never watched this on here before." And I text you to be like, find out if I was in the right profile. I was like, "Am I the white guy or the black guy from Psych?" Like which which one of us am I? I forget my profile. And then I realized, yeah, I must have tried to watch it last year and only got halfway through. And yeah, that's what happened. So it's been sitting there for a year, like half watched. And then getting through this movie, I realized I don't think I ever finished it until this week. Like I've started it probably three or four times and never finished the movie. Maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. But anyway,
For a little context in there,
yeah.
on streaming services, you have profile pictures that you can pick, and usually it's people who are within that universe. So it's like, Disney has a bunch of Disney properties, and so Peacock has the Universal properties. So there's Psych, which was a USA show forever, and they're still doing movies. And I picked my profile picture of Gus, who is a black man. So then Don thought it'd be funny, and he picked Sean,
Yeah.
who's a
Who's
white
the,
man,
who's the
but I
white
am
guy?
white and Don is black. So it's very confusing sometimes.
Every time I go to watch Peacock, I'm like, wait, am I the black guy or am I the white guy? Like, I know what we are in real life, but I think we did it reversed.
Like, we're trying to be clever, and now it's confusing because I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's funny. And there's been multiple people who else within the households that use Peacock, and they're like, wait, which one? They by default pick the race color.
right. Anyway, but
Yeah,
yeah, everything's good. How are you guys? How are you, Tony?
I'm good, man. Just life and work and all that good stuff. But yeah, things are good.
nice. I had to buy
Get
a
the
new air conditioner this week, so I'm horrible.
You what?
I had to buy a new air conditioner this week, so I'm horrible.
Oh, you're good. You got a new air conditioner. You live
Yeah,
in
but
Texas.
now
You
I'm
don't have to worry about it for 10 years.
now I'm broke.
Yeah, I'm broke too.
You guys pretty much have to run an air conditioner probably like 24/7, huh? Or at least I'm gonna say 365. Like it's October and you're still running air. You still like,
Yeah.
do you ever turn on the heat for any reason?
Well, the system that I have does both. So like I usually just set the heat at 70, so if it dips below, so the heat does kick on like January, February, somewhere in there, maybe a weird random day where it gets cold in here, but outside of that, no, we don't really. It's usually AC.
Yeah.
Usually it's AC or just off.
So that's a necessity. You need that thing fixed. You need it running. And
Yes, yeah, it was super hot in here. I mean, we were pretty much touching 90 all week, so having a
Ugh.
couple days with no AC was a couple hot nights with some fans in the windows, old school style, and trying to. I kept it's because it's spooky season and I only have a one-story house. I'm sitting there at like 1 in the morning, getting ready for bed, petting the dog on the floor, knowing the window's open, but I can't see out, but people could see in because the lights are on. And I kept just imagining like a child there. Hi, can I pet the puppy? And being scared. And that kept scaring me. And I was like, oh my God, this window, there's like a screen. That's all that's out there between me and the world. It's weird. It's
That's some
weird.
serious paranoia there, buddy.
Got
Yeah.
yourself real worked up for
Got my, I do that pretty on the reg.
sure.
Pretty on the
I
reg.
was walking in. We have that attached garage to our house, and I came through the garage door, and then I was walking into the house from the garage, and I went to grab the doorknob, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and as I'm going to turn around, I see someone slowly ducking behind my wife's car that's in the garage, and I was like, and that's when I realized, like, oh wait, no, it's just that yard thing that was in the garbage can, and the whole thing just tipped over slowly. But when I saw it out of the corner of my eye and started to turn, I was like, someone's in here with me, and I've shut the garage door. Like, I thought I was trapped for a second. Scared the shit out of me. I came in the house just like, what's going on? I'm like, let me tell you, I thought I was gonna die.
I thought the Babadook was in our garage.
Dude, I had watched, okay, you guys ever hear of a show called Evil?
Yeah.
Well, my boss recommended it to me, so I managed to watch the first episode the other day. But Chris, do you remember the first episode? If you do or not, it's not really a spoiler type thing. She's having that vision or that dream of that demon for the very first time in her bedroom.
Okay.
And it's like already in there, but you can't see it. And then it moves its hand off of something. I think it was just the combination of me just seeing that and then that moment of something moving that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, like you said, spooky season. Everything's a little more terrifying this month and next month.
Before we get into Season of the Witch, just quick question, like first thing that comes to your head, you don't got to think about it too hard. We know there's Christmas movies, of course, but there's also Halloween horror movies. Do you have any one specific film where you try to watch it every year, even if you can't, you still think about it and you try to get it in?
You know what? I don't think I have that for. I don't. Maybe the original Halloween, but I don't watch that every year. But it's not. You're right. That's a good question. I don't have that same vibe that I have. Like, oh, it's Christmas. I've got to watch like this Christmas movie and that Christmas movie. I feel like horror movies are a year-long thing. You know what I mean? Where it's not just like that month. Where if you just feel like you're in the mood for it, you can watch it then. But I'm sure people do.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, unless Chris, you have one right off the top of your head, do you have one?
I want to make sure it's not the same one that you're about to say.
Well,
Fred's.
Mine is probably what Tony just said, the original Halloween. Like I could watch that yearly. And I do start thinking about it now. Like, could I watch it year round? Like, could I watch it in April? Yeah, sure. But it just feels like better if I'm watching it in October for some reason. And that's just like a masterpiece movie. I mean, we've all talked about it. It's just like perfect in every way to me. So it'd probably be that one. I might get it in here before the 31st.
Mine is usually Trick or Treat.
Sure.
I usually watch Trick or Treat every year, and the other one is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
No, it's not.
I watch that movie every year at somehow or fashion. I end up watching it almost every year.
Tony shot.
Yeah.
You watch this thing that we watched this once a year?
I start it. I can't always say I finish it, but it does get started.
I'm not going to start talking about this until we start talking about this.
That was why I thought it was a good segue, because I've seen this movie. I was shocked when you guys were telling me that you guys never seen this before, because literally I've probably seen this movie like 30 times.
Not as shocked as I am that you watch this once a year.
I mean, this movie did come out in 1982.
Yeah.
So, like, that was weird for me to keep thinking about. Like, this movie came out when we were all 0 and not born yet.
Yeah.
When you guys said what we're podcasting about, that's when I had to double check with you guys to make sure you weren't joking. Because I was like, oh, they want to do Season of the Witch. And that's before I don't think I realized I had never seen it. I assumed that I had watched it as a kid or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason I never saw this was because growing up, I had seen the original, and I think that I had always heard or been told that, like,
don't watch this one.
This was the worst one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember hearing that too. I didn't watch this until I was older.
Yeah. So yeah, I had never seen it. So I'm a first time viewer here.
Sure. Like I said, I'm a halfway first time viewer, and Chris has seen it multiple times. So we're coming at
multiple
a
times,
coming at
multiple
a
times.
we're coming
Maybe
at
you
this
can
thing from a lot of
explain.
different.
Maybe you can help explain a lot then.
I can't.
Okay, good. Good.
There's no way. There's a million questions. And then I was watching, I decided because we were podcasting about this, and as Don alluded to, I do own this movie because I have the Halloween complete collection. So it has basically one all the way through Rob Zombie's two. So it has all Halloween movies outside of the Danny McBride ones.
I get owning the collection and
Yeah.
having it. Like, what does the Tremors action pack have?
Yeah, I have.
Doesn't mean I'm watching part 3 once a year or part 2 once a year.
No. Tremors
One,
2 is not bad. I've watched Tremors 2 more than the others. 3 and 4, I think I've watched once.
yeah.
Well,
Tremors,
by the end of this conversation, you'll have to tell us what makes you watch this movie yearly, if you want
yeah,
to.
I'm sure it's going to just kind of come out. There are things that this movie is stupid. I'm not gonna not
Yeah.
say that it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not good in any way. I have fun watching it. I sat here and
I
we
get that.
watched it and we were just cracking jokes and just laughing at the ridiculousness of it. It's just this weird level of cheesiness, but it's got that like just trying something different. Um, it's just something. Well, it's just kind of a insane movie from all kinds of factors, and it just always makes me laugh of just being like I said not good. It's what makes all cult movies. You know, there's all kinds of people who love watching The Room every
Sure.
year and go to midnight screenings of it to watch the badness. You know, it's like you just sometimes it just
You love
kind
to
of
hate
hits
it.
in a
Sure.
right way
Well,
that you're entertained. Is ultimately what it is. There's like I said, it's cult classic for a reason, and it's for those reasons that make things cult classics.
is this like a popular cult classic? Is this
It's
like a
become one over the years. Like I was watching
oh,
the bonus features because since we were going to podcast about it, they had a making of. So they had a 30-minute like making of thing. So it was talking with the actors, the directors, the writers, the producers when they were talking about what their overall plan was for this movie and then why it failed. And that was one of the things they talked about was the director kind of feeling kind of bummed that it never really was given a chance because it didn't have Michael Myers in it. And then in like 2010, he got invited to like a Q&A screening of it, and he was completely like amazed because he had no idea that anybody really ever gave this movie a chance. And he had all these people that were like wanting his autograph and wanted to ask him questions and had questions about this movie. And he was like, now, 30, 40 years later, is finally like feeling good about what he did, or just feeling like, hey, this movie did eventually find an audience, and that's awesome, which is, as a creative person, you always want to hope you can find your audience somewhere. So, yeah, over the last, maybe 10, 15, 20 years tops, it's become a cult, movie, more or less.
Within certain circles.
Within certain circles, yeah, it's not still a popular one. Like I said, I grew up with the same impression that Tony had, which is like, don't watch this one, and it would be skipped. I would watch Halloween 1, 2, I'd watch 4, 5, 6, and keep watching, and I always just skipped 3 because I knew it wasn't part of it, and so it's just kind of was there. And then somewhere in the last handful of years, I kind of sat down and actually watched it, and I was like, that wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, it was its own thing, and I appreciated that from a cult
nice?
standpoint. Huh?
Nice.
Chris
Nice.
is in a cult. Chris is in the cult.
Cult of the Witch. Well, then let's open up some spoilers and let's talk about the train wreck that this movie is that Chris really enjoys. So if you have not seen Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, get ready to have it spoiled in all of its ridiculousness. But the basic plot goes like this. Hospital emergency room Dr. Dan Chellis and Ellie Grimbridge, got those off the internet because I didn't know their names in the actual movie. The daughter, oh yeah, and Ellie is the daughter of a murder victim, uncover a terrible plot by a small town mask maker, Connell Cochran, a madman who's planning a Halloween mass murder utilizing an ancient Celtic ritual. The ritual involves a boulder stolen from Stonehenge, the use of silver shamrock masks, and a triggering device contained in a television commercial, all designed to kill millions of children and their parents.
On paper, sounds like the ultimate 80s movie.
Yeah. Like that plot right there is like, yeah, if I told you this movie was made in 1982, would you believe me? Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
so clearly, I think we know where we fall on this movie from what did we think of this movie, but some reactions from people who've never seen it before, I would love to hear.
let's start with you, pal.
It was just like it was chaos. It was just it was there's a line that Challis says that at one point where he's like, "This place is a zoo," and I was like, "This whole movie's a zoo." Like that's like, like it's just I don't know, man. The plot's all over the place, and it's not like I was walking into it thinking like, "Oh, people were probably hard on this." Like I knew it was. I probably went in with the attitude like, "This is probably going to be pretty bad, but I'll give it a chance."
Mm-hmm.
But it was yeah, man. I don't know. It was just a wild ride, and it's very 80s, so you got to take that into consideration. But, um, yeah, I don't know how to describe this. Just like all over the place. A lot of the stuff, like just tons of plot holes and things that just didn't make sense completely. And wait, why would this happen if this is happening? I don't know if we're getting into the detail portion of that yet, but yeah, I don't know, man. It was wild.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it agree. Wild is a good descriptor for this. Totally 80s. Like you can tell like from the beginning, like it's a total 80s horror B movie. That's got the Halloween name in it, but it is definitely not what you think of when you think of the Halloween series, because of course that's part of the whole thing is you think Mike Myers. Mike Myers is not in this except for proof that the first two Halloween movies were movies in this universe. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only real connection it has to Mike Myers. Uh, but yeah, just like, I mean, rough, rough script, rough acting. But I mean, I didn't expect it to be some profound, uh, like art film or anything. I knew kind of what I was getting into with this, what it was going to be. So I wasn't disappointed in that way because I was expecting it to be kind of like laugh at it because it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my biggest, so like I don't feel any way about it as in like I hated this or I loved it. It was just like, just something with the Halloween in it, name in it to be a little spooky. But that's the part that kind of sucks is it wasn't scary anywhere. Like this movie is not to me scary. If anything, the parts that are meant to scare you are like just like gross. You know what I mean? Not Mike Myers stabbing somebody with a butcher knife scary. Like
No.
the first Halloween movie scares me at certain parts. Like the second one has parts too, and like a lot of the Mike Myers films like are legitimately scary movies. This movie,
Yeah.
every time they wanted to scare me, I was just like, that's gross.
Yeah.
Like
It went
that
from
lady's face is all messed up and a bug's crawling out. That's gross. That kid just died on the floor and snakes are crawling out. That's gross. But it's not scary. It's just like, ugh. You know what I mean? So I was looking for a little more scares from a movie like this, but I don't know. That all being said, I still had fun with it because I was laughing at it. I
Mhm.
Yeah,
wasn't I wasn't laughing because it was funny. I was laughing at how like like you said, like how B movie and how bad it was that I'm just like, ha ha ha, look how dumb this is.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and the 80s aspect of it, like you said, is 82. So then like some of the kills, like when that fucking guy just like ripped that hobo's head off, and you're just like, what is
all
happening?
slow. Yeah.
All slow, it's like, and you're just like,
when
what is happening?
Yeah.
But that was like a pure 80s. Like that was like prime technology of the 80s. Like that was probably, I feel like, pretty legit. This was right around Hellraiser, which I know had some practical effects that were crazy for a lot of people. And it seemed like this was trying to tap into some of that at that time.
Hmm.
dude, they ripped off that hobo's head, and it was clearly a latex mask. Obviously, they used that, but like, it still had the flared out piece that goes to your shoulders. So it's like, why wouldn't they just cut that to make it look like it was somebody's head? Like,
Yeah.
every kill in this was funny, except the kid in the family.
Right.
Um, and yeah, the lady in in the motel was gross, but like when it shot her in the face, I just started cracking up because I was like,
Because
Because you
that
weren't
laser,
like
expecting it.
lasers. I was like, there's lasers. Like we have lasers in this now.
yeah.
They go to talk to him. It's like, what happens? Like misfire. And it's like misfire. You guys got misfires with lasers, and you're talking about it in front of the doctor and his wife. Like what?
the first kill in this movie fucking killed me.
Yeah.
I was fucking dying when that slow car just like touched him, and that thing was going like 2 miles an hour, and it touched his shoulders, and he was just like fucking dead. I was like,
Dude, I
come
so
on,
I had no idea what this movie's about at all.
yeah,
So when I saw that, I was like, if he's not a robot, I'm gonna be more mad that I'm already mad. So
yeah.
later on, when it was revealed, I was like, okay, but that thing barely tapped you and like killed the robot. Like,
Yeah.
but his reaction time, so weird. They're so strong that they can do these things and break human skulls, but this car moving this slow is just gonna go ahead and hot dog, just like hot dog bun this guy.
Right.
Like he was
If the
just,
car's going fast, that's one thing, but it was literally going like 2 miles an hour down a hill, and it just
Yeah, I
dude.
know. It was going to the speed where I feel like if it happened to me, I could just shrug it off.
You,
just
yeah, a
pushed the car
human could
back
have been
like
like,
Jesus.
whoa, and just stopped it. It
Mm.
would.
All right.
uh, so, all right, I wanted to make sure that we like tackled all of the kills or whatever because there was a handful of them. So it was like that was the first one. The second one,
Yeah. So we had what's her name's dad,
the
who was
survivor, he
he
survives,
was
and they
trying to,
yeah
yeah, he was surviving. He knew what was about to happen and was trying to warn the world
yeah,
and being chased by the robots. He got that one killed. Then he ended up at a hospital.
with,
and
with with that mask in his hand the whole time that they just didn't. No one
Yeah.
decided they wanted to take out of his
Yeah.
dying hands.
they didn't want to look into, figure out why get all of this mess.
Yeah.
And then another one of those robots that we didn't know were robots came and took the longest time to decide to like break his nose into his skull.
Was like he had this move where he goes in through the eyes, but then breaks the skull. But then he's
Had
a
a lot of
robot.
blood on his hands, even though there was no blood.
He's a robot, and he put the gloves on first.
Yeah.
But then he was wiping off the
The
blood
blood
on the in the
on the on the sheet. Like,
on the
why do you gotta
sheet,
why do you gotta get that blood off the gloves?
and then
Because we think he's human.
yeah, we think he's human, except when he goes to set himself on fire, then I'm going, he really better be a robot because they put some weird paper mache body in there when they blew that thing up. Like
Uh,
none of that made sense. He decided to blow himself up in the parking lot when he could have drove away. Now they're gonna look into it. Like he could have
yeah,
just took off.
why wouldn't the robot just leave?
Just leave.
You already escaped to the car. You might as well leave now. And that
Dude.
car, like when he set himself on fire, the car immediately exploded. Like it didn't burn a little bit. No, it was an instant bomb. It was just like
Yeah,
it was just instantly explosion.
that's what happens.
I
Yeah.
can picture his face in there right now where he's pouring the gasoline on them, and I'm just like, why didn't they just use a person to do that part, like the
Yeah.
actual actor, to make it look better, and then do the wide shot further away so it would look somewhat. I don't know, man.
Because it's 1982 tone.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
it was funny. Like I'll give you that, Chris. I did laugh a lot. A lot of like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous
Yeah.
throughout most of this movie.
Yeah. It's a ridiculous movie. It's just a
Dude.
ridiculous movie. They tried a bunch they tried a lot of things. None of it really worked ultimately. They were always screwed by being called Halloween 3. They were never going to be able to do anything with that in its own right just because especially marketing at that time, you're never able to let people know what this movie actually was.
Even if you were piggybacking the name, and it's fine just to use the name, and they're going to say, "Oh, it's going to be an anthology," but this one's called Season of the Witch. Fine if you've got like a good script about a witch, but if you got some weird script where everything's all over the place, and now it's like
Yeah.
this. All right, so I know we're going to be all over the place.
The
Was he
name,
part of this coven? Was that old man Cochran part of this coven or whatever, where he was going to sacrifice the children?
Yeah.
Okay, but why? Why was
Why is anybody
but
they're
what
they're
was
making huh?
I
but
do
he's a
I
witch.
do I do know what he's saying. Like I don't understand. I never understood his motivation, his purpose.
It was a
He,
sacrifice.
he
Yeah.
did have one part where he was like explaining himself, like
Yeah.
how the bad guy always gives his plan, but I didn't follow it, and something about it was just confusing. Maybe I
Well,
was just tired,
No, it
but
was confusing.
he says
yeah.
stuff. He talks about it's the last time Samhain festival. It was this 3,000 years ago. We sacrificed animals and children. So they're sacrificing the children, but it's like, but why? Like, does the world end then? Does it bring back everybody? Does there whatever? It's like, no, we're just gonna kill all these kids.
Yeah, they never really went into what the sacrifice, what is the, and I didn't look it up because I didn't think about it. Like what the festival is, like what was like what'd you say, the season of Kala or whatever you just said?
Samhain?
Yeah. Like I don't know what that is. So like I don't know if there is like a history of some of those things. I would imagine it's like a Celtic lore, folk tale or something like that where something happens but they didn't explain it in the movie. And once again, I'm bad podcast host and didn't look it up.
It's okay. I just happened to only hear Samhain for the first time like 6 weeks ago. I watched that. Who's the actor that says I'm a demon?
Will Forte.
Will Forte's in that show where he's a podcaster.
Oh yeah.
I watched that, and Samhain has something to do with the plot line.
Yeah, so I would imagine,
well,
but they never in this movie explained exactly what the sacrifice was there to entail, like, or what it was there to do. Like, we're going to sacrifice all these kids. Cool. I can follow it up to that point, but then why?
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay, so we got that. He's a witch, right?
Yeah, part of this coven.
Him and his coven have been making robots since 1785.
Apparently. And the one thing I don't know are those robots, were those robots people first?
Right. Are they skin suits that they've built in, or has this guy been making Terminators in this small town? Okay, so we got that, right?
That's the plan you should stick with.
He talks about how the planets are aligning.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're giving me so much information, but none of it is doing anything.
Right.
So that's why the whole thing was super confusing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted some sort of
yeah, he was being a demented, a very confusing Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Oh my God. But also the powers you're using is Stonehenge?
I know. They stole the stone from Stonehenge.
Where did Stonehenge come into the and what does it have to do with anything? Like,
dude, I don't know. It has powers. They're definitely scraping stuff off the stone and putting it in the microchips, which shoots lasers. It shoots lasers into the back of the kids. And because of that power that they don't explain, they just say that it's all sorts of crazy, which I get. All right, ancient power we don't know anything about. It makes snakes and bugs come out of their heads afterwards.
Which then attack whoever else is in the home.
Yeah. Like,
I thought it would have been much better if I thought it would have been much better served if the mask made who's ever wearing it into like a killer.
I thought they were going to be little like pod people, zombies. Like that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
So when it first happened and that kid's brain basically exploded into animals, I was like, oh, this got darker than I thought it was going to get. Where they killed the kid, they didn't just like yeah. I thought they were going to be like a trance. That's what I thought this was going.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's going to be an army of children taking over the world. That's scary. You know, I mean, kind of Village of the Damned type thing. But
I believe there are like either theories or connections for people who are really deep into this that I remember hearing. Once again, this is all playground talk in my head, so I've never really looked deeper into it, but I feel like I remember reading articles or hearing things where they tried to like retroactively fit this in, like talking like the Silver Shamrock mask was the original Mike Myers mask. And it did do that where it possessed people and it did things because late in those later movies, Michael Myers is like basically being controlled by this coven or cult in the later Michael Myers movies or Halloween movies where he's being controlled by people and stuff. So I think they tried to really tie this all in somewhere, and whether or not they actually go deeper into some of that explanation or once again, it's just me misremembering stuff. Like
I would buy that if they didn't make you know that Halloween was a movie in this movie.
In the movie?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's just one of those things that they were, like I said, you can't walk back after you do. They were like, this is going to work because theoretically, even when you watch, like I'm watching the bonus features and I'm talking with like the producers, I'm not talking with them, but I'm watching the producers talk. But they're like the idea was to do an anthology with the Halloween name every year, and we'd make a movie. It could be whatever we want it to be, and then each one of those movies could offshoot sequels, the
Mhm.
ones that work and the ones that didn't. So the first two movies of this anthology series was Michael Myers' story, and then every other one after was going to be just whatever they wanted it to be. So right now we'd be up to Halloween like 43, and it would be whatever if it worked out perfectly. But how many offshoots like Conjuring universes? And I mean, they had an idea for like almost a multiverse or a movie universe before 40 years before anyone else did.
Yeah,
And I
but I
mean,
think
theoretically, that's money.
I
it
could
would have worked. It would have worked out, except people were just very upset that Mike Myers wasn't in this movie.
Well, they couldn't
And
market it. They didn't market it as, hey, so I mean, no matter what this movie was, people sitting down in the theater are waiting for Mike Myers and he never shows up. They're looking for Laurie, they're looking for Mike Myers, they're looking for Loomis, and none of that happens. They're like, what the fuck is this? This movie's nonsense, as you said. So you're not even giving it like an 80s chance.
see. I
Mhm.
get that what you're saying, but if this movie was good, if this was like, holy shit, this is a cool witch coven
Yeah.
movie, I don't think it would matter. I think you'd get some people that were pissed off at first, but then I think they'd go like, "Oh, that was scary," or "That was really good," or
Yeah,
"That was."
but how many
I,
movies do
this
you
is
have expectations for that you go in and when they do something that you're fully just not expecting, does it you take it against that movie, even if it's a good movie or you think it's a others think
sure.
it's a good movie, but you were expecting one thing.
I think what I'm getting at is that this is just bad.
Well,
I
yeah.
think that it's like it's fun, but it's bad. Like it's a bad movie. Even if this was a perfect movie, you'd get some people that didn't like it because there's no Mike Myers. Um, but if it was good, if the acting was good, if the effects were good, if the writing was good, I think that this would be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, they did that weird one, but it was still good. You still, it might not have been a box office smash, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Or maybe this has a bigger following now as a cult classic because it's so funny and bad.
Yeah. I mean, these are all like questions that have zero answers because we weren't. Well, once again, as Don said earlier, we were zero when this came out, so we
Yeah,
have zero buy-in into the development of this. We didn't see Halloween until 10 to 15 years after this one, or even understand.
yeah.
So, like I said, it's hard to know. And then, like I said, marketing is completely different. So it's like, how was it? I was watching trailers for this film, and it definitely I could see how you could watch a trailer and still think that Michael Myers is in it. Like
The opening car scene.
yeah,
You'd think that Michael Myers was in it
because it
with
still had the same similar
similar
music because
music.
John Carpenter still did the music.
Yeah,
It still had similar music. It still had similar feel. It still had. I mean, they were. I see what they were going for, but it was just once again, this is obviously wasn't the right movie to do it with.
yeah.
But then you also didn't prepare people for what it was. But once again, if you did, maybe people would be like, "Fuck that movie! I'm not going to see it," and it never does anything and never goes anywhere. So, and it probably has only reached cult status in any way is because it is Halloween 3 and comes in the box sets with everyone else's.
Yeah, question.
Yeah,
Have you guys ever seen a bigger leading man than this dude who played Dr. Chalice?
a bigger.
like he's the perfect 80s leading man of what was okay back then.
Yeah,
And like
He's supposed to
it
be an attractive man.
it
He looks
starts
like
off
Larry.
with this like hunky mustachio who's clearly he's divorced. He's a divorced surgeon with a drinking problem. Is that right? Or a divorced
womanizing.
doctor with a drinking problem. Um,
Yeah, the first scene is him just getting in an argument with his ex-wife.
dude, like, and her acting was bad too. But like he's not bad in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny. Anytime he interacts with a woman, I was just like dying. I was like, oh my god, the '80s were fucking hilarious and nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I think the next woman he interacts with on screen is the nurse that he works with.
Yeah.
And she's like, "There's cookies and milk in the refrigerator," and he's like, "I should have married you," and slaps her in the ass. And I was like, "This was made in 1982, 100%."
Super womanizing. Like
Oh yeah,
it looks like a Tom Selleck. Every guy and fucking.
sure.
I just kept thinking he was Larry Zonka from fucking American Gladiators. Like
Oh,
like this is Larry Zonka, deadbeat dad, drunk every time. Like, it's getting late. I need a drink. Like,
yeah.
dude, fucking about to go up on this adventure, calling his ex-wife on the phone saying, "I can't come take my kids, but I'm gonna grab this 6 pack of High Life real quick."
Oh yeah.
Like, just
And
like,
what was funny was watching the behind the scenes. They were interview talking with him, and he was making jokes about that. He was like, "I just left my ex-wife, grabbed that 6 pack, and I was on an adventure with the next girl."
yeah,
I was like,
Dude,
"Come
it's like they her dad dies, she tracks him down at a bar, and then they decide to become this detective duo,
yeah,
yeah,
right?
and
yeah,"
they
because
were
he
they
wanted to
were
know what happened, and she wanted to know, so they were like, "Let's go find out."
and they were immediately fucking each other within the first 30 minutes of the
Dude,
movie.
I was dying when he's like trying to play the maybe I should get another room. She's like, well, blah, blah, where do you want to sleep? And he's like, that's a stupid question. And I was just like, oh
Yeah,
my
he just walked
God.
right in and kissed her. He was like, "That's a dumb question, Miss Wallace,
The two the
Miss
two
Grimbridge." That's her name.
the two notes I took about their relationship, they're crazy, like I said, 30 minutes they're already having sex. Like the second time they got together and he came in the room, she had full lingerie. Where'd you get it?
Yeah,
You had that in your little bag that you brought?
This wasn't planned. She didn't know she was going to go on this adventure with this guy.
Right.
They
She
she
take
had
always are prepared.
Not only do they bone the first time when he says that's a stupid question, they go for the second time. She has the lingerie, and then out of nowhere, in the midst of it, he's like, "Wait a second, how old are you?" It's like,
Yeah,
what?
that's
yeah.
why I wrote. I said he asked her how old she was after they,
Because she wanted to go again, and he was like, "Wait, you have to be young because you have energy. I'm used to older women who get tired
dude,
after I bang them to sleep."
dude.
put it
So
this way, it didn't sound right. It did not.
no,
It
No,
not at
didn't
all.
no,
sound right.
So
no. They're. I mean, just them. I mean, that whole thing. It's funny because you're sitting there watching that movie, thinking, "How old is she?"
oh yeah, dude,
And he actually verbalizes what you're thinking, which they're not supposed to like shine the light on that. I
dude,
don't know.
It was
dude.
weird. It
Women,
made me cringe a little bit.
the nurse, the fact that he has some sort of weird relationship with the coroner too. They
Mm-hmm.
leave each other kissing each other, so he's gotten down with her too.
Oh yeah,
This man bones everything
yeah.
except for his ex-wife.
And
Um,
he never runs fast. Every time he ran, he was just like just like that slow old man 80s
His
run.
after okay, it was the scene when they were being chased, and he was being stealth, and it was night, and the cars are all flying around the town, and this motherfucker is just diving into bushes and hiding in phone booths, and like every time there was a car, he was like, huh! And he was just going full on dives, man. I gave him so much credit for the how serious he was taking it because he was throwing his body around, but it looked so funny because the cars were like nowhere near him, but it would come around a corner and he would just like go flying into bushes and around corners and scoop down, and it was hilarious.
But he never really ran. It was always
No,
a light old man 80s jog.
that actor can't run. You can tell.
Because he's like a serial smoker, drinker. Like he
yeah,
ain't running. He was just like, ugh, ugh,
yeah. This
ugh.
was out of his norm.
Right.
Hey, you
Uh,
made me think of something. You said when he was sneaking around. Holy fuck! Can we jump? Are we just jumping around this whole
we've
thing?
we've had no structure. Just
Okay,
let's
so
go.
oh my god, if we get to the point where they're gonna try to do something, the family's dead. He's got to try to do something. They took Ellie back to the place, so he's got to go to the place to save her, but they catch him. There's a line of robots to get him.
And then he just gives up.
Well, he gives up, but then he doesn't give. Oh my god! He's locked up in a room, and they're watching him on camera.
Yeah,
And he decides to kick the TV to get glass to cut it out.
and to stop the signal from melting his brain.
Yeah, but he gets loose.
Are you talking about when he throws that mask perfect one shot on the camera?
Yeah.
Like from a
That
sitting
gas
position,
is
he's
just
just
like
like,
what? Right on. Fucking killed me. Killed me. And then he finds her and they've got to sneak around to some panel and they go behind that mask rack
Yeah.
and
The
just
fucking
decide to
cartoon.
grab it and just
just
like
walk.
they are advanced robots and a madman with
Yeah.
their grand plan to kill a bunch of kids, and no one's noticing this rack of masks moving on its own.
No, that was from the Bugs Bunny playbook.
Dude, completely.
I was
Completely.
dying. I was dying.
There's a lot of Looney Tune stuff going on in this.
Dude, that mask throw killed me. It was
Yeah,
just like I was just like
yeah. It was
Just a quick
perfect.
oh
Yeah, he just like yeah, his arms weren't even untied. He just was like bloop.
perfect jaws.
And the robots didn't notice. They were just like tap, tap, tap.
Oh my god.
something like not used enough in this movie was those three masks, like the witch mask, the pumpkin mask, and the skull mask were cool looking. I just wish they would have like I don't know. I wish the story would have been different. Like
Yeah.
Season of the Witch, something different with the masks. I don't know. They were underused because they were cool looking.
Dude, if there was a bunch of kids chasing them with knives wearing those masks, it would have been terrifying.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Anything like that's just a random thought, but like that, you're right. That would have been scary.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and that would have been if they would have made this a legitimate like Halloween 3. You could have put the slasher elements instead of the cult elements and be like, hey, we're mind controlling kids with the masks, like Michael Myers, and there we're just creating an army of Michael Myers to run around. Yeah, would it be insane? Yes. Would it be kind of like a larger scope of what Halloween was? Yes. Would it tie back in? Would it have done better? Probably.
These are all really good points that sound like it would have been a great movie.
Yeah.
yeah. Would have been scarier.
Oh
But
my
yes. But we're
god.
also coming at it with 40 years of history changing
Sure.
movies and
So we
uh
talked about how he's
foresight.
loose and he has to rescue Ellie. He finds her in
Yeah.
this room. So he gets her and then he
She was just
decides
laying there waiting for him.
laying there waiting. And then he decides that he somehow figured out how the microchips work.
Sure.
So he decides to throw the microchips out and he starts the commercial and it
Well,
does all
he knows that microchips are triggered by the commercial. So if he starts the commercial, then the microchips are gonna microchip.
sure. And luckily all those microchips shot up and killed those robots instead of him and Ellie.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
Ellie's with him the whole time, running with him while he's doing all this
Yeah.
stuff.
And made Cochran's face white and smiley like,
Dude, I was
That was Stonehenge that did that.
that was
oh
almost
my
as
God.
funny
Okay,
as
Stonehenge did
that was
that.
almost as funny as the mask throw when Cochran's face went to some weird like sister. That it was just like, what's happening? I was
And
like, what is going on? And then he didn't blow. He just disappeared.
Yeah.
his last moment on Earth, he just wanted to.
Dude, he's
They,
the originator of the slow clap.
I
Well
don't think he's
played.
the originator.
Well played.
Originator. This is what it's from. You don't know. Prove me wrong.
I call BS. There's no way.
Prove me wrong.
So they do all that and they essentially win. They
Yeah.
stop the grand plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
No.
we all know like there's at least one more twist coming as we're watching this. That's the general vibe because you realize that Ellie's not quite the same as she's been or whatever.
I never noticed. She seemed the same to me.
She hadn't said a word.
She'd barely spoken, right?
Right. So she attacks him and she ends up being a robot, right?
Yeah.
She let him destroy everything that they've worked for.
As a robot, just to, right.
How would how'd that work?
How come she
Never
didn't
thought
robot
about
out
that.
on him? How come she didn't robot
wear
out
it?
on him sooner? Yeah.
Was she always a robot?
That
That's what I don't know. They never explained if she was a robot, if like real quick he made an Ellie robot there at the end and like she's dead and like this is the Ellie robot at the end. But they did escape together and she didn't ever try to stop him. She watched him dump all those
She helped him.
microchips onto the other robot. She helped. Uh Obviously we get it. It's like, yeah, it's a bad script, and that's just there to be like the last scare. My biggest thing with that last scene is like she came back about 7 times.
Yeah, that kept going way
just
too
like
long.
this needs to stop. Like, how many times is it gonna be like
He's attacked by the arm.
he's like, I'm safe. I'm safe. She's back like for the 5th time. Like, come on, man. Once or twice, tops. That's the most you can do. You can't do that trick 7 times.
yeah.
And
The
like
initial and then the one more grab is where
Yeah.
it's at.
Yeah, that's
They
it.
were trying to go like a Michael Myers, just always comes back and undead.
Dude, I was cracking up to that scene when it's finally over, I think, and it shows her head on the ground, but it's the real actress's head. And I was
Mm.
like, they dug a hole in the ground to get her down there for this last little shot
I
of
thought the
her.
exact same thing.
I was
Yeah,
like, oh, they did this instead of having a dumb latex thing, which was looked better, obviously, but I
Yeah,
was cracking up. I was like, she's underground.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I thought that too. But yeah, I never thought about her stopping them. But I also, once again, I know I've seen this movie a bunch of times, but it's not one that sticks in my head of like I forgot she was a robot.
Oh, until you watched it this
So I
time?
watched it again this time, and then she did it. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Like it's just one of those things that you just don't remember.
The robot Ellie Scooby Doo walked with that rack of masks.
Right, that was the robot.
That was a
Yeah,
robot.
yeah.
Yeah, it's bad
and
writing.
and I wish I knew if human Ellie is just straight up dead and her corpse is somewhere, or if she's alive somewhere and that's just a copy, or if they use the humans.
I think they have to use the humans, and then I feel like that is the only. I mean, that's the only explanation that makes sense to me, especially with saying that they've been doing it since the 1700s and it's like gears and bolts. You know, it's like if you're using gears inside, then you're not fucking coming up with skin. You know, and like an that artificial of an interior for to have an amazing, perfect
Yeah,
exterior just doesn't match to me. So I feel like it had to be like we're taking people and turning them into robots. And I think them doing it to Ellie was kind of the confirmation that that's what they were doing because they were
yeah,
able to do it so fast. Unless she was always a robot.
man. You
Once
just
again, they
said
never explained.
you
If she
just
was
said
So never
always
a
a
question.
robot, it's bad writing if she's always a robot because she wasn't acting like one the entire movie.
yeah,
It's just like
Yeah, exactly.
it's like a
Especially because
jumble.
all the robots were specifically acting one way. You know,
Right,
they were doing that. So to have her all of a sudden be and to your point, she acted like that after he rescued her.
right.
yeah,
Because, like you said,
unless
she didn't have any lines.
yeah.
She just kind of followed.
You were talking about the gears, and it made me think of the coroner again when she's
Mm-hmm.
like saying like, "Oh, I'm just finding car parts. There's no body or whatever." Um, and I was thinking about her death scene, and I was like, why did the robot that's superhuman strength have to go find a power drill to murder her?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And then you don't show it because
Right,
I mean, so what's the point of it if you're not going to show it anyway? Just have him choke her to death.
right.
What was the point of it at all? Why did
The,
you have to have a Why did you have to have a side plot of her figuring out? I mean, I guess that was how we found out that there were robots, but not really. Like
No, they didn't explain anything, and how and she's about to call the sheriff or something, but it's like, what's changed?
nothing.
Right.
What was she gonna say? Hey, this car blown up and we found some gears. Right?
Right.
right.
These gears don't match this model of Ford. Something's up.
Yeah. So they have to be that had to be a
Robots.
robot.
Yeah, it was
Like
it was funny to watch. Like I
yeah.
laughed at the. I didn't think I'd laugh at this like I did.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
it's an insane movie. It's an
Yeah,
insane movie that, like I said, doesn't make any sense. It's filled with one-liners straight out of the '80s. That hobo coming over and saying, "Hey, that bottle looks heavy. You need some help with it?" I died laughing. I
I
was
don't
just
got
I
like,
no
don't have any
diseases.
disease.
I don't have any disease. All
What?
right, drink out my bottle.
I know we've been like kind of trashing it because it's like not a great movie, but I mean there were some parts that the biggest thing that stands out to me as something I could say as a positive is the music was great,
Yeah,
like
John
iconic
Carpenter.
John Carpenter. Uh, I just associate that with like movies like with Halloween, so that was definitely there. And I know Chris put in the notes you wanted to mention the the Silver Shamrock jingle, that thing get in your head a little bit. That was a little funny. Uh,
yeah. I
but
mean, I hear that song every Halloween. Like it just gets to that time, and I think that's, if anything, one of the things that helps with this movie is you kind of get that dum 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 dum, and 8 more days till Halloween, and you kind of get that stuck in your head, and then when you after you know it, then when it gets close to Halloween again, you kind of almost have this like countdown in your head, or when you hear it on like AMC and stuff, and you're just like, oh yeah, it just kind of puts And when you talk about me watching this every year, it's because this kind of is like a countdown to Halloween movie for me. You know, like you hear that jingle, like I've associated that jingle with Halloween now, not the series, but the holiday.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it was kind of a little catchy, spooky, a little
Yeah,
spooky.
just had that kind of unsettledness. And I think ultimately, like I said, this movie doesn't make any sense, but I just always kind of like, or at least I'm entertained by, one, what they tried to do, but two, just kind of like the mystery that they were keeping. Like you were really watching the first half of this movie going, what the fuck is happening? And you were trying to figure it out. Like you're just like, okay, you're looking. And yeah, the pieces don't really come together in the way that really makes it satisfying, but I'm entertained by it. And I think that they, like you said, tried something. And I always just give, I don't know, participation awards.
I
Yeah,
think something that I was impressed about with it, if we're talking, I know we've been shitting on this thing a lot, and like I said, it's still fun.
Yeah.
Chris, if you love this movie, I'll say I get it. It's fun. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Or the following that it has. But I'll say that I think I enjoyed that. You know, this movie ends like three times, but when it finally ends, um, we don't win, we lose.
Maybe.
it's a nihilistic ending. Well,
Yeah,
You don't think they shut off the third commercial?
I don't think their commercial shut off.
you're not supposed to know, I don't think.
Right,
Yeah.
but also leading up to that last 3 seconds, a random man just calls the TV studios and gets them to shut down the commercial that's probably paid a lot of money for
Yeah.
their most popular mask.
You gotta believe me.
There's a
Yeah,
madman.
ultimately, the idea of them, yeah, listening to this random man calling is ridiculous. But at the same time, it was 1982, and I don't know what restrictions or like he
Fair
talked
point.
about. There was only like three channels, so it was like they had three commercials, one for each channel, because there were only three channels that there was. So I don't know if some dude calling and saying, "Trust me," would have worked. Wouldn't have worked.
You definitely had to suspend your belief for that and a lot of things in this movie.
Well, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a, let's be honest, it's a bad script, not greatly acted, but I can understand the cult moviness of it because it's just like it feels comfortable. It feels like
It's campy and fun.
yeah, it's campy, it's 80s. It's like you can tell they're trying to,
One-liners.
right. Um, I would definitely prefer to watch a Mike Myers movie over this movie any day, but I give them credit for trying. They tried something different. The
There's
plan
some
was,
Michael Myers movies I would watch this over though.
well, yeah, some of those ones in the middle are a little
You
rough,
get
but I'm talking about,
you get a little deep into the mythology there, and there
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you could easily
There's
kind of look at this one and go, maybe I'll watch Season of the Witch instead.
all right. Let's just say Halloween 1 and 2 then for me.
Yeah,
There you
of
go.
I would
course.
watch over this, but yeah, man, I don't. I'm not mad. I watched it. I can say I watched Season of the Witch, so yeah, I'm okay with it. Just funny, and I was laughing at it, not with it. So uh, yeah, is what it is for me.
Yeah, I hear that. Any final thoughts?
Finally got to see that silhouette shot of the kids running and with the sunset. I
Mm,
feel like I've seen that for years on posters or on art of this,
hmm.
where it's like the kids in their costumes and you're just catching their silhouettes.
Yeah,
So seeing that in real time, I was like, hey, that's the thing from the VHS cover. This is cool. It was really pretty.
yeah. And I
And then,
know those masks were talked about in one of the more recent Halloween ones, either Ends or one of
oh,
those
they like
Danny
make reference
McBride
to it?
ones. They make references to this movie in those I saw a couple times. They did a Silver Shamrock or had the jingle, or they I definitely know those masks were in those movies. So it's definitely been shown love within the Michael Myers Halloween, and I feel like I kind of want to watch rewatching this one again. I kind of want to watch like 4 and 5, and kind of really get back into that cult aspect because I don't watch 4, 5, or 6 of Halloween a lot, and I almost kind of want to rewatch them again and try to see them try to if they really did try to tie in this movie into the mythology.
Sure.
But that's a conversation for another time, and we aren't going to have it anytime soon. So I think next week we are hoping to watch the original classic Alien as we prepare for Alien Romulus to hit Max on, I think, what, November 17th?
Something about that. Yeah.
Somewhere in there, seeing the new Alien. So we were like, man, be kind of good to watch the original in there. So that was, I think, was going to be our go-to. You had any thoughts about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? You know how to find us, raisethegeek@gmail.com or raise the geek across all social media platforms. Let us know what you thought about this cult classic. Is it one of your go-tos, or have you never seen it? Have you, or do you hate it? Let us know, and we just told you how. But I think that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raise the Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm done. That's not going to pick up on the microphone.
Sorry. And I'm Tony.
Thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is always speak.